Welcome back, Fionnuala.
Thanks, Ash.
This is the last chapter of managing microstress.
Yep.
So,
in our whole section of
in the
managing environment.
Managing environment.
Yep.
So, would love to have this discussion because microstress management can be a very important and crucial aspect of stress management.
So, Ash, first of all, could you just enlarge a bit on the difference between stress and microstress? What is this? Because we might think, oh, microstress, that's small stress, that's little stuff. Could you tell me a little bit more about why it's a problem?
So, Fionnuala, the stress is of different kinds. We all have stress in life. There is a good stress, which is also called as eustress. Then there is distress, which is unhappy, distress kind of a thing, negative stress. And then we have high levels of stress, which we can call toxic stress. It's normal to have stress in life.
Of course.
We should have coping mechanisms to manage different kinds of stress. But there are certain kinds of stress which are more under the radar, which you don't immediately recognize as stress. And that is called as microstress. It might be situations of, if you're working in a team, some level of dysfunctionality in your team. It could be if things are jarring with your core values. You're working in an environment which is very different to your core values. There's a term used for that, sometimes known as spiritual injury. Or moral injury. Then things which normally you are able to kind of identify. But here they are more subtle, and you are not able to name it. I will share it with an example with you. So few years earlier, I have a fitness trainer because exercise is not on my highest values. So I have a fitness team. So I went to have a session with my trainer, and he asked me, how's everything going on? I said, everything is fine, going on well, but my sleep has been not very effective. This ring is there and my watch that will give me a daily sleep score, my REM sleep, and total hours of sleep. And also it creates a readiness score. So I told him that my sleep is being affected and I feel a little tired. And sometimes I'm feeling a little bit of cognitive fog. So they said, tell me how's everything going on? I said, everything is like kind of little bit things are here and there, which is, I think it's part of life.
No biggie.
No biggie. So then they asked me, well, tell me more about what's happening. So I said, well, I've got some colleagues which are not performing very well. And as a manager of the team, as a team leader, I have to be responsible for all my patients and patient safety. Then I am having some, there are some colleagues who are kind of talking behind the back and some kind of departmental politics and political maneuvering. And the management is different and expectations of the management of wanting me to work in an environment where I don't feel very comfortable. So these were minor things. And I was working also on the book project and working with some freelancers, collaboration. So there was some level of collaborative load. There was some dysfunction there. So minor things. So my trainer said that, Dr. Ash, you seem to have a lot of micro stresses. So I wasn't aware of the term micro stress at that point of time. So I said, okay, yes, this seems to a lot of things going on. When I went back home, I looked at the term microstress and found a very good book and a very good article on the microstress effect. And I went I could find a microstress checklist. And I went through that microstress checklist and I realized that out of the 14 different kinds of microstress, I was having 10 of them in the work environment.
Look at that. Okay.
That kind of dropped the penny for me. That these things can be very subtle, but it can affect, nevertheless, can affect your mood, it can affect your sleep, it can affect your physiology if you are not aware. Now, if you are aware, there are a lot of things you can do, because what I feel that in an environment, there are a lot of micro positives as well. There are a lot of
more about positives. That. Micro positives.
If you are working in the healthcare environment, there are a lot of avenues where you can help others. There's joy, there is meaning, there's connection, there is compassion, there's gratitude. And I learned this philosophy from a book, Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl, in which Viktor Frankl talks about being in the most impossible of situations in the Holocaust during the World War II. And he said that there were people, even in the most impossible situations of the Holocaust, could find some meaning, some compassion, somebody whom they could help, something they could lash on to the future. And those were the people who were able to create that meaning, that sense of meaning, could go far, could survive in that environment. And I used to wonder that if people could do it in a concentration camp, definitely we are in a much, much better environment. And where we focus, that becomes a reality. You might have heard, Fionnuala, where focus goes, energy flows.
Okay.
What we focus on becomes our reality. So if we focus in an environment, what is positive, what we can do to help others, how we can be kind to other people, where we can get joy, and healthcare is all about serving. Similarly, in any industry, it's all about service, it's about serving others. And if you have that mindset, you can create the antidote to the microstress, and I call it the jacuzzi effect, because then you have tempered down the temperature of the environment. Microstress can increase the temperature of the environment and can cause the boiling frog environment, whereas the antidote of this will bring things down much more calm.
Yeah, and it feels like microstresses, they're very much in that boiling frog zone, aren't they? They're lots of little tiny things that just have an effect on you, but they're so small and incremental, but at the end point, they push you into that kind of tipping point. I think it used to be described as the broken shoelace stress effect.
Broken shoelace.
Yeah, there's little things, you're in a hurry, you're set for your meeting, you're going to work, maybe you knock your cup of tea over, and the next thing you're tying your shoe and your shoelace snaps. It's those small things. You can't find your wallet, you can't find your glasses, you can't find your phone.
And you're running, and then you're running, and you trip over your open shoelace.
Yeah. So it's these things.
I remember another word for it. It's called death by 1,000 cuts. This minor oozing or bleeding. But if it is happening chronically and from different sources, sooner or later is going to affect your health in a more deleterious way.
And it could be in the environment that's composed of the people in your life, maybe the people at work, maybe somebody keeps interrupting you. Now, perhaps there's no malice behind that, but it's a habit they have. It's something that they keep doing. And that chips away at you.
It chips away at you.
And it might feel so small, you think, oh, I can't say anything about that.
Well, you have to say, because when you mentioned that, I remember about a colleague who used to just come every 2 minutes and wanting to talk. After one time, it became an annoyance. And he was doing they were doing this with many people.
Okay.
And it was also a boundary issue. And then these minor things then kind of lead to frustration, annoyance. So one has to be aware of it, and one has to bring some kind of stop to it.
So boundaries again, with other people maybe it's boundaries. It might seem harmless, somebody coming in to have a little moan about what's going on at work, but that negativity, if it's coming to you every day for 5 minutes or so when you're busy, that could start to really wind you up and cause you stress.
Yeah, so Fionnuala, the first thing is identifying the micro stress, and then what action you are going to take, which will be of course specific in relation to what you are dealing with, how you can minimize, and then of course having many positives, because it's again the physics. If you have much more weight on the positive things happening, and will be much more diluted. It will be much more diluted, and you are aware of it and how it is affecting you. The more aware you are, you can go very, very far.
Yeah, that's it. It's a friendly word from somebody in a shop even. You know, if you work on your own, it might just be you take a walk out, you go to buy some lunch, you have a little chat. And that's a good time in the day. Then that could offset, you know, the person on the phone who was rude to you. Or, you know, if you continue to just focus on the person who was rude to you on the phone, you'll feel pretty bad. But the nice exchange you had when you went out to buy a sandwich, that's something that can make you feel better.
And for the rest of the day, it will have a more kind of a positive emotional hangover, as compared to if somebody gives you a negative remark and you take it personally, you internalize it, and that has a negative kind of emotional hangover. So being aware of these factors in the environment and having a strategy to deal with them is a effective strategy to deal with the micro stress, and bringing to us an effective micro stress management strategy.
And I think you described it to me before in terms of a law of physics. This is an equal and opposing force that we have.
What I meant with that in an environment always there are equal and opposing factors. So if there are some micro stresses, there will be equal amount of positive micro gratitude, micro joy, micro meaning, the positive factors which we can access and make that a reality. And have strategies to deal with them.
You have to seek them sometimes, or you have to bring your attention
intentionality.
to them.
Attention, awareness, and intentionality to it.
That sounds great.
Well, Fionnuala, thank you so much. It was been a really pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise.
And in a lovely, beautiful evening in Glasgow. Thank you for joining me at the Transforming Stress with Dr. Ash podcast. It's been really lovely to have these remarkable insights into the management of environmental stresses and environmental management. Next time we meet, we are going to talk about value management, which I call the inner lighthouse. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you. Have a lovely evening.
Fantastic. You too, Ash. Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave a 5-star review, a like, or subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Your support helps us reach more people looking to transform their stress into new comfort. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to comment and share. For more tips and updates, please be sure to check out our social media links in the description box below. We can't wait to have you with us next time as we continue this journey towards turning stress into resilience. Remember, it's not the stress itself, but how we rise above it that defines our strength. So stay resilient and keep thriving, and we will see you next time.